really enticed into the Catholic faith.
How serious are y'all about y'all faith? 0, I'm just like, I ain't serious at, like, I don't even really believe it. 10 being like, I'm very devout. Where y'all feel like y'all fall? What you got?
I'd say probably 8.5 to 9.
Really?
I'm very
Wow.
serious.
I feel like I'm like a 7.5, 8.
7.5?
7.5, 8.
Okay.
My name's Jack Habian. I'm from up by Kansas City.
I'm Cora Kapatsky. I'm from northern Wisconsin.
You want to get on there?
I don't care. You can just do those.
Just do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. How did y'all come to be Catholics? What does that mean?
Well, I just born into it mostly.
Okay.
That's what just happened to be the church we went into growing up.
Okay.
And then over time, just started to more like the tradition of going every Sunday.
Okay.
And I started to really like the values and more so got used to going it. So that's why I like it.
All right. What about you?
I was also born into the Catholic Church, and my parents instilled into me going every Sunday, and then through that, we also had what we call CCD, so we had religious class every Wednesday, and I had exceptional religious ed teachers. They were extraordinary, especially my deacon, and they really grew my faith and had me really enticed into the Catholic faith.
So, how serious are y'all about y'all faith? Like 0, I'm just like, I ain't serious at, like, I don't even really believe it. 10 being like, I'm very devout. Where y'all feel like y'all fall?
I feel like I'm like a 7.5, 8.
7.5?
7.5, 8.
Okay. What you got?
I'd say probably 8.5 to 9.
Really?
I'm very
Wow.
serious.
Y'all have any difference between you, what you believe, and what they believe? Is it any difference at all?
From my understanding, there's a little bit just more in the Catholic Church. I know is more formal,
Yeah.
but I've been to other churches and stuff, and it's only thing that's really different in my opinion is just formality, layup of the church
Sure.
itself, but the lesson is still the same.
Yeah.
And my opinion is it really, truthfully, doesn't matter what denomination
Sure.
you are, as long as you're going and
Come
just
on.
listen. We all
Yeah.
preach from the same book. So
Straight up. All right. Same thing? Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some commonalities, but there's definitely different ways that we go about preaching and we go about the Bible and our everyday faith.
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes us all unique and individual, and there's no right or wrong faith in my opinion. This is what I'm comfortable and what I'm confident in.
Sure.
And that's just kind of how I feel about things. I know there is differences, but I definitely accept those.
I love your accent. Maybe we got the accent, huh?
Definitely.
So, all right. So here's the main question when it comes down to, I think, different faiths. So, how do you think you're supposed to get to heaven? Yeah, let's ask that.
I don't think, it's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
I don't think there's just a set way. There's no checklist that is put out there. Well, you do these things.
Okay.
You go to church every Sunday. I don't believe that if you go to church every Sunday, it makes you, whether you are or aren't going to heaven.
Sure.
I believe you should go just because you're there for the message and you're trying to learn and become closer to God, regardless of what denomination you're in. And I believe at the end of the day, if I just live my life in the way that I think is right and in the light of the Lord, that when my time is called, hopefully, I'll be asked to go to heaven.
So, how confident are you? If you die today, you'll go to heaven. 0%, you go to hell, purgatory, heaven, where you comfortably fall.
So my mindset is on the whole heaven versus hell versus purgatory is that it's extremely hard to be able to go straight into the gates of heaven based on everything that I believe in. I personally am under the impression that I'd probably go to purgatory and then interact with Jesus through purgatory and then see if I'm allowed into the gates of heaven through there.
How long does it take to stay in there? I mean, what do you think you have to do in purgatory to get there?
Well, I haven't been there yet, so I really couldn't tell you, but
Yeah.
I think it's more of your moral compass.
Okay.
And my philosophy is on it that everyone kind of just like checking through the gate at the airport.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of goes through purgatory, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then after that, you get your boarding pass or whatever, and then whether you go to heaven or hell is based on everything you've done in the past,
Yeah.
not whatever you say at the gate.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so what's going to qualify you on this side of heaven to get there? Like, what do you think the things that you're going to be able to do to qualify you to get there?
I definitely think that it's all about being disciples of Jesus and
Okay.
preaching his word. Not only preaching it, but being about it. It's one thing to go about and say, we love Jesus, but if your actions don't reflect upon that, then odds are you're probably not getting into heaven. And that's my personal impression. So if we're not going out, we're not speaking the word and the truth and the light,
Yep.
then it's probably not going to happen for us. That and obviously like the 10 Commandments and things around that nature. I also don't really think if you're missing if you're on the wrong path on a lot of those, it's probably going to be slim pickings to try to get into heaven.
Slim pickings. Well, let me give you guys a good person test. Have y'all ever specifically heard about what Jesus says for a person to get into heaven? You specifically know what he says it takes based on what the Bible says?
Oh, I feel like we read about this once at Bible study. I can't remember what the exact verse is right now, though.
Okay, what do you think?
Not for certain.
Not for certain.
Not for certain.
Because eternity is too long to be wrong.
I agree.
Right? So let's just say we was all getting up in a plane. You want somebody to tell you if your parachute was loose.
If it would work or not, I'd feel like I'd want to know that.
Man, of course. Here's what Jesus specifically said about how to get to heaven. Because you just don't want to be wrong.
For sure.
So let me give you the good person test first. All right?
Okay.
This is not me judging you.
100%.
This is for you to just kind of judge your own heart. Okay?
Okay.
Like, how many lies do you think you've told in your whole life combined?
Honest answer, probably around 100.
Man, you're a lot better dude than I am. How about you?
I'd say probably about 1,000.
About 1,000? All right, Jesus said if you look at someone with lust, you commit adultery in your heart. Have you ever looked at someone with lust? Anything to do with sex outside of the way God designed it? Guilty?
Guilty.
All right. Have you ever used his name in vain? Like OMG or I put that on GOD?
I try not to, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't a couple times.
All right. All right. How about you?
Absolutely.
All right. So here.
Guilty.
Guilty? Okay. Have you ever been angry with somebody you felt like you could put some pain on?
Yeah, most certainly.
I have.
You have any idea what the Bible equates that one with? You're going to be surprised.
Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor.
Love your neighbor. If you're not loving your neighbor, you're doing what?
You don't want to.
Right? And the Bible says it's murder according to 1 John chapter 3, verse 15. He says you hate your brother or sister, you're really a murderer at heart. All right? All right. Let me give you two more.
Okay.
Have I said stealing anything?
No.
Have you ever stolen anything in your whole life?
No.
You just said you're a liar now.
I've lied about certain stuff, but I do not steal.
You ain't steal? Okay, how about you? You ever stolen anything?
Definitely stolen something from my parents.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Your parents?
Not like a toy, but like not like money or a car or anything, but definitely like something minor. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. You ever cheat on the test and stole answers?
I have a couple times. I don't need to very often, but I have a couple times.
Of course, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody.
For sure.
I've
For
done
sure.
the same, right? So if you just look at the standard of what Jesus said in order for a person to get in, if you were to stand before God tonight, what do you think he's going to do to you?
Probably wouldn't make it.
Probably won't make it.
Based off those, like 100% agree.
All right, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not making the cut.
Yeah, because, man, if you think about it, sometimes we sin and we know we're doing it. Like we sin like we drink water. So if we really had to get into heaven based on our good and bad, then that doesn't qualify us. Does that bother you guys in any kind of way?
It bothers me definitely personally that
Yeah.
like I haven't taken that that upon myself and actually made a conscious effort to definitely improve myself. It definitely makes me want to do that.
Yeah.
Especially right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like what I did is I turned the mirror to your soul. It's like when we look in the mirror in the morning time, we see what we look like on the outside. But the commandments show you actually what we really look like, right? And it lines yourself up. So if God gave you what you deserve, it's almost like God is going to pay you for what you earn. It's like a judge that stands before a murder.
Yep.
A murder kills somebody. What does the judge owe the murder?
Nothing.
Or
you sentence them.
Or sentence them with the death penalty. You have any idea who killed Jesus?
Pilate. The people.
The
people.
Okay.
People
The people.
sentenced him.
So why did he go to the cross?
To die for our sins.
So who put him there?
That's what we do.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you love your parents or your family.
For sure.
If somebody was to come and like harm your parents or God forbid take their life, how much money could they do that they could give you to pay you off and walk free? How much money could they give you to walk free?
Wouldn't want to. Money wouldn't matter.
No!
It wouldn't change the way you feel.
It wouldn't change a thing. But you know how most people are going to try to get to heaven after what they did to his son. They're going to try to be good enough to try to pay God on the table. And they think that God is going to accept the payment after what they did to his son. Mm-hmm. So the Bible says like your works are like filthy rags. It's like you can't do enough good in order to escape the punishment you deserve. It's like the murderers trying to pay the judge under the table after he, right? So the Bible says there's got to be another way for you to get to heaven based on not your resume.
That's fair.
So let me give you the last thing and I'll leave you guys alone. Here's what changed my life. Is that the Bible says that he knew you couldn't keep the standard. So the question is, how does Jesus' death on the cross help us 2,000 years later?